They said her clock was ticking, but Adele's heart refused to be rushed. Adele was 32, beautiful, hard-working, deeply rooted in God. A young entrepreneur whose hands built what many admired, but whose ring finger became everyone's concern. Everywhere she went, the whispers followed her like stubborn shadows. At your age? Don't be too choosy. Men don't like women who wait too long. At church, the looks were worse. Smiles that carried pity, greetings that hid judgment. But Adele wasn't waiting for perfection. She was waiting for peace. "I just want a man my heart can rest with," she would whisper during her quiet prayers. But her mother? Her mother was tired of waiting. "Do you know they are laughing at me?" her mother cried one evening. "In church, saying all our holiness has not produced a husband?" At work, it wasn't any better. Colleagues turned her life into lunchtime discussion. Adele smiled through it all, but every night she cried when no one could see. Then, one Sunday afternoon, her mother did something that would change everything. Suspense ending. She walked straight to the pastor, with a decision Adele never saw coming.
What happens when pressure wears the voice of God? That Sunday, the church was unusually quiet. After service, the pastor called Adele forward. Her heart skipped. Her mother stood behind him, hopeful, desperate. Then she saw him. Tall, handsome, well-dressed, confident. A new face in church, people already whispering about his wealth. "Adele," the pastor said, his voice firm. "I have received a message from God." The entire room held its breath. "This man is your husband." Her ears rang. Her spirit? Silent. No confirmation. No peace. Just pressure. Her mother squeezed her hand tightly. "This is your answer," she whispered urgently. The man smiled politely, calm, assured. Everything moved fast after that. Family meetings, church blessings, celebrations. Adele convinced herself. Maybe peace comes after obedience. So she said yes. But on her wedding night, something didn't feel right. Not his words, not his silence. Something deeper. And that night, Adele realized she had married a stranger. Some people don't change after marriage. They reveal who they've always been. The first few weeks were confusing. Her husband was distant, cold in ways she couldn't explain. Then came the late nights. "I have business meetings," he would say. One night became 3. 3 became every week. Phone calls he stepped outside to answer. Trips that appeared suddenly. Adele tried to hold her home together. "Let's pray," she suggested gently. "Huh," he laughed. "Not everything is prayer, Adele." That sentence hit her harder than a slap. Weeks turned into months. No devotion, no church, no spiritual life. Then, one night, she followed him. What she saw shattered her. Drinking, strange friends, deals that didn't look clean. Her heart sank. This man was never a Christian.
It's one thing to marry the wrong person. It's another to marry into danger. Adele's prayers became her only refuge. Morning, night, tears, silence. She tried to talk to him again. Please, let's fix this, she begged. But he snapped this time. You knew who I was when you married me. That lie cut deep. Then came the truth. Not just bad friends, not just bad habits. Illegal business. Money that came too fast. Deals done in darkness. Adele's world spun. Fear replaced hope. She stopped sleeping. Every knock on the door made her heart jump. Every siren made her freeze. Still, she stayed. Because in her heart, divorce was not an option. But one night, she packed her bags.
Enough was enough. I can't die in this marriage, she whispered. Just as she reached for the door, loud bangs. Open up! Police! And in that moment, everything came crashing down.
The day she chose to leave became the day she had to stay. Police stormed the house. Her husband was dragged out, handcuffed, shouting, exposed. Neighbors watched, phones recording. Shame flooded the air. Adele stood frozen. This was not the life she prayed for, not the story she imagined. Hours later, silence. Just her and the ruins of a marriage. She had a choice now. Walk away or fight for what was already broken. Days passed. Then something unexpected happened. She went to see him. Behind bars, he looked different. Broken. Afraid. For the first time, human. And something in Adele shifted. Not love, not hope, but responsibility. She made a decision that shocked everyone. She would help him, even if it meant losing everything she had built.
Sometimes love doesn't feel like happiness. It feels like sacrifice. Adele sold assets, emptied accounts, called in favors. She paid debts she didn't create, settled fines she didn't deserve. People called her foolish. Why suffer for a man like that? Leave him and start again. But Adele stayed silent. Her strength was no longer loud. It was quiet, stubborn faith. Eventually, he was released. He came home, ashamed, withdrawn. But Adele, she didn't punish him. She served him, cooked, respected him, spoke gently. Not because he deserved it, but because she chose who she would be. Weeks passed.
Something began to change. He stopped going out, stopped the late nights. He watched her closely, confused. Why would she stay? Why would she care? 6 months passed. He hadn't stepped into church once. Until one morning, he stood at the door, dressed. "Are you going?" she asked. He nodded. "Can I come with you?" And that morning,
Heaven responded.
The man who faked salvation was about to encounter it for real. That Sunday service felt different. The atmosphere was heavy, charged. Adele sat quietly, her heart racing. Her husband sat beside her, restless. Then the pastor spoke. Today, someone here needs to surrender for real. Silence. Then suddenly, her husband stood up, tears in his eyes. No pride, no pretense, just brokenness. I've been living a lie, he confessed. The church gasped. Adele froze. I pretended to know God, but I don't. Not until now. He knelt. And in that moment, he gave his life to Christ. For real. Not for marriage. Not for image. But for truth.
Adele's tears flowed, but this time not from pain, from release, from healing, from victory. Their home didn't become perfect overnight, but it became peaceful. And for the first time since her wedding day, her heart rested. Because sometimes the miracle isn't avoiding the storm. It's who you become while surviving it.